Hi, Alice.
Roz, I apologize. My son came 24 hours earlier than I had expected him. And as a result, I forgot about a lunch today and I forgot this. And I totally apologize.
It's okay.
Just, because my whole routine just got switched around. And
Mhm.
as a result, it was like, okay. Thank you, Teresa, but
No,
if this should ever happen again, call me immediately,
well, I hesitated because I knew you had stuff going on, so I didn't
I
want to
know,
bug
but
you.
I always
I thought
keep.
maybe you turned it over to somebody else. Hello, Roz.
Hi, how are you, Teresa?
Good.
That's so awful. I'm so sorry. And it's funny because earlier I thought, I better call Wendy and ask her to take over for me and to let you in and then do the prayer and everything. And Teresa, I am going to have to run. So if you would be kind enough to do the prayer at the end,
Sure.
I would greatly appreciate it because I have people waiting on me right now. But I just want to, I'm going to make you, um, Roz, I'm going to make you the co-host so
Okay.
that you can let anybody in that
Okay.
comes in and because people do dribble in late.
Okay.
Oh, crazy. And you will be recorded
All
too.
right.
So it'll be on the website. It'll be put on that later. All
They
right.
get everybody gets to see me in my night flow.
Yeah. Hi, Lori. Hi, Jane.
Hi there.
Oh, thank you for waiting.
Hey, Alice.
Hi. And this is who said hi, Alice? Lori. Thank you.
Oh, my video's not showing.
Yeah. All right. And I'm going to mute myself so you don't get any feedback. There's
Oh, somebody's asking me to let them in. Okay.
I'm just going to go ahead and give you a quick introduction. Hi, Lori. Um, Roz is a wonderful moderator for, is it Soul what? Soul Search? You're muted.
Soul healing conversations.
Soul Healing Conversations with Voice America. And isn't your patronage kind of getting into the hundreds of thousands by now?
Yeah, it's up. It was up to over 30,000
Okay,
listenership.
wonderful. I mean, that's fantastic. And
Surprisingly.
the so we have the we have the privilege of having you here, and I really thank you for that. And once again, apologize for the lateness of my reply, but you will be able to uh, control anybody else wanting to come in. You'll be able to let them in. and
Okay.
everything. So,
Sounds. I will
and
do my best to try and keep an eye out.
okay, and just add to your introduction, because I know you can add 10,000 more words than I just did.
Yeah, well, I have a few things I can
Okay,
share about myself. So,
excellent.
hi everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Roz Kincaid. I am a spiritual life coach. I'm a psychic medium. I'm a Reiki master teacher, and really just the lady who just wants to support people in their healing, growth, and transformation because that's what I'm doing. And I just, I feel that it's important to give back. I don't think that it is um, weak of us or lesser of us if we can not drag people along as we get our healing, but show other people the way is the way I want to say it. Thank you. Show people the way, and especially those who are coming through similar pathways to that growth and healing. So I am originally from North Carolina. I am currently in Manassas, Virginia. And if you would like to connect with me online or through social media, you can do that through www.rozkincaid, Kincaid, just like it's spelled on the screen.com. Or you can connect with me on Facebook and Instagram at Soul Healing with Roz. So I want to give a huge thank you to Alice and her team for this opportunity to speak. I spoke last year at one of the church's online services and just was really, really honored to do so. And when I was asked to come back again, I was like, oh, yeah, yes, I will. So thank you all for being here. And at some point, I'm probably not going to be paying attention to admitting people into Zoom because I'm going to be looking at some slides. So if you're just joining, I do have some slides that I want to share. And as a matter of fact, I think I will go ahead and do that now. Now I know how to do this. Okay. I'm the IT person. I'm like, where is that?
Would you like one of us to keep an eye out for people who want to come in?
Yes, please. Please do. Because I may not see because I'm gonna be sharing the screen here. We'll see how it goes. I may be able to.
Okay.
I appreciate that, sis.
I'm not sure if I can see if I'm not a moderator.
Okay. Um Before I start to share my screen, I don't know if I can do it either.
Right,
Oh
because
wait.
Alice started it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me see. No, I can't do it. She's the host, so I won't be able to do it. But anyway, I would do my best to do this because I'm visual. I like pictures and words and things, and so that's what like makes me happy. So you guys follow along with me if you will. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it. And I do have some notes, so if I'm not looking at the screen particularly, I just want to make sure that I hit everything for you because my prayer is that something is said that will just help you and inspire you. Okay. So, why returning to you? Why this topic? And actually, the idea for this topic was birthed from my own journey to reclaim my own power. And as strong as I am as a female, because I'm for those of you that are into astrology, I'm an Aries sun sign. I'm a Taurus moon and a Virgo rising, which is a lot of fire and earth. And even with all of that power and strength, um, I was giving my power away. Um, and I needed to trust myself and the greater source around me and start to create a life for myself that I was satisfied and happy about because I was not. Let's just be real. Up until about 2 years ago, I was that person who struggled with people pleasing, comparing myself to others, and asking other people's for their permission for me to do and be who I thought I should be. And there was a moment with a very, very close friend of mine who was just downright honest with me and said, "Girl, stop asking me what you should do with your life. Like, you have to stop that." And it was jarring for me, right? It was jarring for me because no one had ever been that honest with me, or shall I say, loved me enough to be that honest with me. And from that point, I started to peel back the layers and um, start to look down into the conditioning that I collected since childhood. And we'll get into that a little bit. We'll touch on that a little bit. And I ended up joining a coaching group with my instructor from my spiritual life coaching course. And what I learned was extremely impactful. And I just felt led to want to share with others who were struggling just like me, because I just feel like if I'm dealing with it, I can't be the only one, right? At least I hope not. I didn't want to feel like I was alone. I didn't want other people to feel like they were alone, or that there was no way out of getting out from under this conditioning and getting and emerging and embodying the real you. And so here we are. Here we are returning to you. So tonight, I have a few points a few areas that I want to speak to about returning to you, that include beliefs and assumptions, taming the ego and following the soul, opening up to abundance and forgiveness. And I'll try not to be too long winded, but I do want to make a few points that might be helpful to the community tonight. So let's go ahead and start with beliefs and assumptions. So you'll find that I love me a good quote. Like, with me, I'm into human design, and I'm just now getting into what human design is, and I have an open throat. And if somebody can say it better than I can, I'm gonna say it too. Okay. So this quote from Henry Ford is so on point and so resonant, that it says that if you think you can do a thing, you're right. Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. Your mind is that powerful that it will convince you that is right or that is wrong. So let's talk about what beliefs and assumptions are. So beliefs are those thoughts and statements that are perceived as reality, but they're not really true, right? Assumptions, however, are beliefs about life that we've picked up from our family, from society, from school, experiences, relationships that we accept as true or taken for granted without us doing any investigation about their validity, right? So assumptions have no real evidence of being true. They have no validity either. We just take them at face value and adopt them into our own belief system, into our own I guess map of life, or the place from which we allow ourselves to be informed about our decisions. So why is this important? Why are beliefs and assumptions important? Because beliefs and assumptions are part of our conditioning, aka our personality. And conditioning is that behavior that was modeled to us in childhood and then repeated in patterns throughout our life. So what you saw uh mom and them do and say, sitting on the porch or around the house, or grandma, how she criticized, or how your sister um talk badly about somebody, or the things that they said about the world around them, all of that is part of your own conditioning, and it shaped how you also view the world, and what you also, even more so, think about yourself. Because if you hear it enough, it's going to become part of your narrative. And again, we assume it, but we don't have any evidence for it. But our mind accepts it because it's being modeled and it's being repeated by people that we trust, that we love. Our family core belief system is the inherited beliefs about who we are, who other people are, and the beliefs about the world, our culture, our society. And that is the makeup of our conditioning. All of that feeds these circles here, all of that feeds into our mind, into our mental state, into what we believe and what we say to ourselves. That script we keep running when we mess up or when we do good and we don't think we're doing good. Your common core beliefs are beliefs in the subconscious mind that are created, check this out, from the age of 7 years old that we have internalized as our truth or our reality. Our subconscious mind um, perpetually confirms all of those beliefs and that we created at childhood. It just keeps on reaffirming and confirming those that have been modeled to us or spoken to us. And these are the same things that are blocking us from achieving goals and seeing dreams fulfilled in some kind of way. So if you want to change your experience, you're going to have to change what you believe. And if you want to heal, you have to change that perspective and deal with those emotions and the energetics that are triggered from those places. See, people want to talk about mindset change and taking action and, doing all the things to move on, to have better, do better, be better, but nobody wants to really deal with the healing, which is the energetics. That's what healing is. You got to deal with the energy, the feelings, the emotions, what that belief triggers up in you when you make a wrong choice, right, wrong, or indifferent. What is that emotion that's coming up that's informing or perpetuating that belief? You got to deal with that. And until you deal with that, there can be no real lasting action. And that's been my experience. So where do we start? Where do we start? We start by becoming aware and conscious of our beliefs, because awareness and knowing is half the battle. It really is. It truly is. And what we do is we start to witness our family members, ourselves, what we think, what they say, what we say, and then you start to check that in from who you are today. And if those beliefs and assumptions are no longer serving you in a positive way, in an abundant way, then that's where the inspired action can come from. You have to create a new belief system. And listen, y'all, this is not gonna happen overnight. Y'all know this. This is not gonna happen overnight because we dealing with 30, 40, 50, 60 uh years of conditioning, of people telling us who to be and how to be it. And then we find God, or we connect spiritually, or we have this awakening. And it's like, wait a minute, that's not who you really are. Who they said you are is not who you are. And then once we start to make those changes, then the ego starts to want to battle with us, which is my nice little segue into that. And that's when we need to learn how to tame the ego and follow and connect more with the soul, right? So let's talk about some of the differences between the ego and the soul, what I like to call the inner critic and the heart's desire, right? So make sure okay, make sure I'm in the right place. So the soul, or the soul essence, is that connecting line between your human self and source, whether you call it God, source, creator, the universe, Allah, whatever works for you, works for me. Okay. Source energy Soul is source energy in physical form. You are actually a God fragment. You have God fragments in your being. Now, if that don't light you up a little bit or give you some kind of twinkle of hope to know that I do have the power, I can co-create, I can be great. Now, I don't listen. Keep living. You'll get there. Your soul is the basic nature of who you are. It is your core being. It is both masculine, it is both feminine, and although it has no gender to take in any physical form, it's everything. It's the higher self. It's the inner self. That's what the soul is. It's everything that feels right and good for you. And it also kicks up. It speaks up when we encounter things that are not right, true, and good for ourselves. It'll let you know too, just like the ego will. So let's talk about the ego. The ego is that self created concept of who we are based on our past lived experiences. And according to Dr. Nicole LaPera, she is the holistic psychologist on Instagram. If you all are on social media, her content is amazing and very easy to consume. So if you want to give her a follow, I would highly recommend it. But what she says is that our ego is who we believe ourselves to be. Who we believe ourselves to be begins at birth. We unconsciously absorb the ideas of who we are based on the ideas and core beliefs of those closest to us. Then we internalize those beliefs. They become truth. Y'all see any parallels between what I just discussed about belief and the ego? Y'all, it's all connected. It's all connected. So if we dive a little deeper into soul and ego, you'll see that soul is love based, whereas ego is fear based. So let's take a look at this slide. I mean, the soul is loving, it's neutral, it's detached, it doesn't have any attachment to outcome, it's expanded, it's light, it's abundant, it's limitless, equality, unified, it's liberated, it's accepting and worthy. Whereas ego, like I said, is fear based and it's critical, it's judgmental, it's accusing, that finger pointing, it's contracted in your energy, it feels heavy, oppressive. Instead of it being limitless, it's limited and restricted. It doesn't tell you that you're worthy. It keeps you in that polar opposite of being superior and inferior. It's lack, it's scarcity. And as you hear me say some of these words, notice how that energy feels. Notice, if it's contracted, if it's expanded, if it's tight, if it's, it pulls on you in a way that doesn't make you feel good. I mean, just think about how you're feeling when you consider the meaning of the words. Consider how you feel when you feel loved, when you feel restricted, when you feel oppressed. You know, that energy right there is who you can tell where you're operating from, whether it's from your soul or from your ego. It's the energy that's behind the words that's the clue. The energy. The energy tells it all. And sometimes, not sometimes, but energy isn't logical, y'all. The energy is not from a head space at all. It's from a heart space. And sometimes doing what's based in the heart has no logic. So here's the thing about ego. When you decide that you are going to make a change, the ego is going to get real loud and persistent and consistent because its whole job is to keep you safe and secure. That ego devises change. Your ego is not the real you. Remember, it is a self-created idea of who you are based on your past experiences and our conditioning to keep ourselves safe and from experience and pain and really joy. So for so long, I'll share, I ignored my soul and I allowed my ego to be in the driver's seat, and I let it inform a lot of my decisions. You know what happened? I became burnt out. I was angry, moody, resentful, and it even affected my body. I actually believe that the energy emitting from my ego is what really caused me to struggle to get pregnant with my daughter. hmm Because I didn't feel safe in my sacral area. I didn't feel safe where I was supposed to create because I had been violated in one way or another. Not so much sexually, but I mistook what was love for being used, and it all kind of set up in my body, and my body couldn't produce. But thank God for technology. There's ways around that. Um, but I knew if I couldn't keep, but I knew that I couldn't keep living my life through my ego, um, because I kept seeing glimpses of what my life could look like. God would allow me to see, and still does allow me to see a little further down the road from where I am today, and and I would tell myself, well, if I'm able to see myself that way, then my God, there must be a way for me to get over across there, over the water. So I knew that there was something about this criticism and this oppressive and restricted way of thinking and being. It just wasn't the way I was supposed to be living. Right. So, what do we do with our ego? What do we do with that? Some will say you need to kill it or ignore it. Mm-mm. Nope. The more you think about it, the more you resist something, what happens? It pushes harder. The more you resist the ego, the bigger and more painful it will become. The further you push it down, the harder it's going to come back up, and the triggers are going to be that much more visceral and palatable. And what I've learned to do is tame the ego. And I've learned to befriend it and have compassion for my ego, because I understand now that that ego was created from a little girl who she didn't get to speak, she didn't get to be, she didn't get to play, she didn't get to do a lot of things. And while I can't do anything about those experiences that happened to me then, I'm an adult now and I have some control. And now that healing and creating that safe space for that little girl is my responsibility, because I want to experience those things now that I'm somewhat safer. Let's just say that. So I'll share with you a recent personal experience with you. I, for the time being, work as an IT contractor for the government. And during the day, I'm on the computer, I'm managing projects, I'm managing teams. Well, recently, our contract with the government was not renewed for about a team of 7 or 8 of us. And now we're all looking for work. Well, most of them. Most of us are looking for work. But when I got the news that we were not renewed, there was a very large part of me that was excited, because I knew that this was my time and my opportunity to um, put my energy where I wanted it to go. And that is into doing more of these things, because that's what lights me up. Working with people to heal, to grow, to transform, you know, walking with folks side by side and not giving them the answers, but shining the light, teaching people how to shine their own light to find their own way, because we all really do know the answers to the test. We know. We're just afraid. There are things on top of us that we need to break through. But anyway, I digress. And so this was an opportunity for me that I attracted that would find that I could finally focus on my coaching business and my healing business. Well, in comes the ego. And all of its ego stories telling me all of the reasons why I need to be looking for another job right now and forget about focusing on my business. Now, mind you, I had wanted to quit my job, 3 years ago, to pursue and operate my coaching business full time. I was done with that job then, but it provided me a sense of security that I might no longer need now, because God has blessed me and my family in a way that I feel more comfortable stepping away from that and comfortably, somewhat pursuing my passion. So I repressed that ego for about 4 days. I tried not to listen to it. I tried to, okay, it's going to be okay. Don't worry about it. Mm-mm. And one of my coaches finally asked me, she said, can you allow yourself to be present right now with what's coming up for you and just allow it to be? And y'all, when she said that, everything just came up. Everything just came up because that's what I needed. The more I tried to woo, 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 don't worry, and push the ego down, it came back even harder until I gave it the space and the honor that it deserves, right? And see, I needed to honor my ego to make room for my soul, which is actually giving off the energetic signal to the universe to reflect back to me what my heart, my soul really desires. See, I can't get to that if I'm not um, allowing the ego to air out, to breathe, to give it space, to be heard, just like the little girl wanted to be heard. It's all connected. So I say to you, don't kill the ego. Don't try to create some ego death. Don't ignore it. God knows, don't ignore it. But embrace it, but be gentle and compassionate about it, right? You have to be gentle with the ego. It's bruised, it's wounded. And you don't have to let it drive you. It has its place, yes, to protect you, but you can hear it out and say, thank you, girl, or thanks, dude. And lean into that soul, into your heart space, into what feels good. And see, that's the other thing that we have been conditioned to believe, that your feelings are not that they're not valid, but you can't trust your feelings. Well, why do we have them then? Why do we have emotions then if we can't trust them? Oh God, it just doesn't make sense sometimes. When you're awake, you're awake. And so lean into that soul and just co-create from there. Amen. All right, let's move on to abundance, because I can spend a whole another hour sitting here talking about ego and soul and all the wonderful things that I have found out about it, and we got all night. I want to be respectful of your time. So let's move on to abundance. Oop. There we go. So when I talk about abundance, I am actually talking um I'll be the first one to tell you, I love money and I love the things it can do for me. But abundance is also joy, peace, not being burnt out, getting rest, having that balance, knowing when to do and when not to do. Abundance is all of that stuff. It's not just money. We can't just relegate abundance down to money, because there's so many other things in life that we can take hold of and have. Um so whatever it is for you, what it comes down to is the energetics, okay? Because again, the universe, God, source, creator, understands energy and frequency as a language over anything. At least that's what I believe. So you're either attracting abundance or you're repelling it. Your energy is responsible for you having it or not having it. It's your energy. Remember the frequency, the vibe. And whatever your energy is emitting, the universe is going to respond in kind. With your energy, you're either telling the universe, no, I don't want it, or yes, give me more. Give me more of this. And quite honestly, going back to that example of my job, I actually was telling the universe, I don't want any more of this. And then here I am acting all shocked that we didn't win the recompete. And I'm like, why are you acting? And I'm having this conversation with myself, like, why are you acting all surprised? You asked for this. You asked for this. You asked for it with your energy because you were not open to receiving more of this work. Yeah, we do this. And so if you're contracted in your energy around abundance and prosperity, and that could be in your beliefs, it could be in your thinking, it could be in your emotions and your actions, then that is a signal to the universe to hold back what you really want. And let me make a note here, as women, I think we have the biggest problem receiving because we are instinctively nurturers. Even though some of us may display more masculine energy than feminine energy, and it really doesn't matter, but because we're natural nurturers, we want to take care of people, we want to take care of ourselves, we want to make sure everybody's cool, everybody's all right. And it's hard for us to sometimes receive. And sometimes I know some people that can't even take a compliment. I'm like, girl, just say thank you. But here's the bottom line: you can't have good things in your life or have people to give to you unless you're open to receiving. And receiving is a skill that can be developed over time, and it can be perfected. This stuff don't happen overnight, once again. So listen, what I want to do is go over a few definitions, because I think that we have in our society, there's room to clarify what wealth is, what prosperity is, and what abundance is, right? So let's talk about it. Wealth is the accumulation of energy. Energy is money is energy. Joy is energy. Peace is energy. It's all a frequency. Money just happens to be a tangible form of energy. Coins, C notes, right? But again, I encourage you to expand the way you look at this and see other things as wealth, happiness, knowledge, joy. Because just like all of these things, again, money is simply energy. And the thing about wealth is that it is rooted in fear and ego. And most of the time, when we want to accumulate more, it's coming from a place of maintaining security and safety, which is exactly what the ego wants. And if we can have more of something, it puts us in a position of, remember, the ego of superiority and not inferiority. So prosperity now is the conscious circulation of that energy. It's also the condition of being successful or thriving. Unlike wealth, prosperity is rooted in abundance. Prosperity has to do with living in the present moment, with a sense of lightness and without the worry of lack or scarcity. When we start to focus our mind on wealth and having enough, then we take ourselves out of the present moment, hence taking us out of that energy of lightness and expansion. And when we're not expanded, we're contracted. And when we're contracted, we're not open. We send that signal out to the universe that we don't want more. And in addition to that, we're not open or expanded. We are living with the mindset of wealth where the energy is not being circulated and it's only being accumulated. It's not moving. It's just piling up. And that creates an imbalance and a lack of flow. Because when the energy is not flowing, there is no room to have more. It's like the garage in my house that my husband just keeps putting stuff in, or the shed that he just keeps collecting stuff in. I'm like, you have to get this stuff out of here because we can't do anything in this garage the way we want to do. My daughter, she wants to continually go to toys, and she told her father the other day, we have such a big house, we can put a lot of toys in here. I'm like, no, that's not what that means. If you want energy to flow, you have to let go. You have to give it space. You can't receive with the closed fist. So you can have abundance, but if it's not circulating, it's not benefiting you. And energy needs movement, it needs to flow. Give, receive. So it's not that we want to be abundant. It's not only that we want to be abundant, but we also want to be prosperous with what we have in abundance. We want to move it. We want to move it. Make sense? There's nothing wrong. Listen. There is nothing wrong with you wanting a boatload of money. There's nothing wrong with you wanting to hit the lottery and be on HGTV with David Bromstad finding your lottery dream house. Nothing wrong with that, y'all. Nothing wrong with wanting a ton of peace, faith, spiritual gifts, happiness, satisfaction, whatever it is that you want. There's nothing wrong with that. If you want a lot of it, that is perfectly okay. There's no shade. The thing we need to be aware of is, where is this desire to want more coming from? What's the motivation? Is it rooted in fear, or is it rooted in scarcity? Is it rooted in a sense of abundance and a desire to circulate? Like, what do you actually believe about abundance? Excuse me, let me restate that. What you believe about abundance becomes thoughts from which you behave, and that behavior, thought, belief is once again, say it with me, is a frequency sent out to the universe. Remember, we talked about beliefs. Here we are again. And so listen, after tonight, I challenge you all to take a look at what you believe about abundance and what you believe about receiving. Just observe, just witness, what you were conditioned to think about having more and having nice things. You think you better than everybody else because you got da 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 da. No, you think I'm better than everybody else because you don't think you are. Another conversation for another day. But remember that any belief that comes up that doesn't support a more expanded version of yourself is likely to be a block to you receiving. Might want to take a look at that. I might want to take a look at that. So listen. So lastly, yeah. So let's end this thing on a more compassionate note, because we all could use some to help ourselves, to help us heal, to help us just to advance and move forward in a peaceful way, right? And so I love me a good word definition. So let's take this definition of forgiveness. And different sources will define it differently, but I really like this from Wikipedia of all places, because it resonates with me. And it says, forgiveness is the intentional and voluntary process by which one who feels victimized undergoes a change in feelings and attitude regarding an offense and overcomes negative emotions such as anger, resentment, vengeance, however justified it might be. So, psychologists generally define forgiveness as a conscious, deliberate decision to release feelings of resentment or vengeance toward a person or group who has harmed you, regardless of whether they actually deserve your forgiveness or not. That's really not the point of it. And notice the common thread in these definitions. They both talk about releasing emotions, right? Releasing emotions around the offense, around the hurt. See, the thing about forgiveness is that I think we get it most confused is that forgiveness is really about us. And for a long time it took me I really didn't understand that because I really hadn't up until now felt like I needed to forgive me, including myself. Like I'm like, no, everybody needs to stay on the hook for what they did. And I'm putting myself on the hook too, because the way I treat somebody else is really the way I feel about myself. So it's really not about us and our feelings about what happened to us. I say this all the time. It is never about the other person. It is always about us, about what we feel, what we think, how we act, and what we believe. Forgiveness is about us and our feelings and our attitude. Yes, yes, yes. What they did was wrong. It was wrong as the day is long. Yes, they deserve to get hit by a car or struck by lightning. Yeah, they deserve to be paid back. But what about how you feel? And what about what you think and how this is impacting your life by holding on to this emotion? I mean, I get it. I'm in it too, and I know firsthand how hard it is to forgive somebody and think you're letting them off the hook or excusing their behavior or by not saying anything or not having any means to like retaliate, or somebody saying don't do anything to them, you just feel like you're letting the person just go scot free. But y'all know better than I do. Every seed you sow comes back up. It is, God says vengeance is mine to repay. But that doesn't mean that you have to continue to carry around the baggage of the emotions. And nobody's asking you to forgive anybody just like that. It takes a process. I believe that forgiveness is a process, and it just doesn't happen at a snap of a finger. It just doesn't. I don't know. For me, that's just not realistic because emotions have to be processed. They have to be processed, and sometimes they have to be processed, more than once. So I get it. It ain't about letting people off the hook. So let's take a look at what forgiveness is. Let's get clear about what it is and what it's not. Um, Forgiveness is not minimizing the situation. It's not denying the seriousness of what happened. It's not invalidating or validating your experience. It happened to you. That's validation enough. You experienced it. However you remember it, that's good enough. Nobody needs to tell you otherwise. It's not forgetting. It's not condoning. It's not excusing. It's not, listen, it's not even reconciliation, to be honest with you. I mean, it's really not. Though forgiveness can repair a damaged relationship, it doesn't obligate you to reconcile with the person who harmed you or release them from any legal accountability. No one is asking you to forget what happened, but what good does it do you to continue to live there in that situation, in your mind, in your body, and in your soul? So let's look at what it is. First and foremost, forgiveness is peace. It's peace of mind. It's peace with no. Being at peace with what is and with the fact that human life can be vulnerable. Everybody's gonna get hurt at some point, y'all. Nobody's exempt from pain. That's part of why we are having this human experience. We learn through pain. I tell you what, I would very much like it the next go around that I have as less pain as possible and a lot of money, a lot of prosperity. But while there is some debate over whether true forgiveness requires positive feelings towards the offender, forgiving someone at least involves letting go of the deeply held negative feelings. Because by doing that, it empowers you to recognize the pain that you suffered without letting that pain define you. And that it enables you to heal and move forward with your life. See, that's the whole impetus behind forgiveness. It's peace and moving forward. This happened to me. It wasn't right. It hurt me. And I can move forward from this. Forgiveness is allowing yourself to grieve. Grief is a natural process to hurt, pain, and loss. And without acknowledging that hurt, pain, or loss, you don't get the benefit of the experience. Because at the end of it all, there's healing. And that healing is where not only peace lives, but that's where your power is too. So you got to go through that pain to get to the healing, to get back to your power. So, in addition, when you let go of suffering through forgiveness, you don't maintain that suffering forever. You create, you don't create your personality around it. You don't use it as a weapon against somebody or yourself. And which brings me to my last point. Forgiveness is not paying the hurt forward or back. That's tough to swallow sometimes for some people because you want somebody else to feel what you feel. I get it. It's the absence of prejudice that informs your forgiveness. You realize that nobody owes you. Now you don't have to take the hurt you suffered and pay it forward to somebody else. That's like when I first started dating my husband, I was paying him back for every dude that hurt me, and he was getting all of it. And he stopped me. He was like, "You have got to realize that I am not them. I didn't do those things to you, so it's unfair. It's unfair to us for you to pay that pain back to me, who didn't even have anything to do with those situations." And he was right. Just because your last partner was not a good partner to you doesn't mean you always have to give your new partner the third degree. See, with an open heart, you can accept what is in the way that leaves you willing to give the next moment a chance. We can't hold people hostage for somebody else's offense. You have to release yourself of those feelings that hold you down, because that's what they're doing. They're holding you down. Just like your beliefs about abundance or who you are block you from moving forward. It's a boulder in the road that you can't go around. You have to go through it or over it. So listen, if you all are open to it, I'd like to lead you through a quick releasing exercise. Is that okay? Cool. So go ahead and get comfortable in a seated position. If you're laying down, that's fine too. And start to take 3 deep belly breaths, or as deep as you can. Feel free to close your eyes if you like. Continue breathing deeply, sending that breath as deep as you can. Long inhales, long exhales. And bring your awareness to the energy in your feet. And notice that energy in your feet as it connects with the ground. And visualize or imagine that there are roots growing out of your feet, growing deep into the earth's core, past all the dirt, deep, deep, deep into the core of the earth, holding you steady. And now bring your awareness to any tension in your body. Maybe there's some tightness around your shoulders, maybe your back. Whatever it is that you notice, breathe deeply through it. And as you exhale, send that tight, contracted energy down through your body, down into those roots, and allow Mother Earth to take that and transmute that energy. Take all of the day's worries and to-do lists and flush them down those roots into the earth, lightening your load. And now as you continue to breathe, start to call in your spirit team. Could be your angels, your guides, God Himself. And just notice the presence around you of love, of acceptance, of comfort. Notice how that presence feels, how it looks. If it has a sound. And we just ask that that presence be a safe presence around us, only allowing in what is right, true, loving, and good for us. Now, before we get into the releasing part of this exercise, try to bring into your awareness the person that you need to forgive the most right now. It could be you, it could be someone else. But bring a vision of that person into the front of your mind, into your awareness. Notice what they look like. Notice their body language. Notice their demeanor. Notice the energy that they bring with them. And now I want you to think about or even ask your guides, what is it that's making it so hard for me to forgive myself or this person? Mm-hmm. What is it that's standing in my way of releasing this person? What's making you afraid to forgive this person or yourself? Is it appearing weak? Making what they did okay? Or is it something else? Know that you're safe to be honest. There's no judgment. And now I want you to think about, how is not forgiving this person impacting your life? How is not forgiving this person or yourself impacting your life? Is it holding you back in some way? Is it blocking a blessing? Is it blocking something that your heart truly desires? How is it affecting your body? How is it affecting how you show up in other relationships? How is this affecting you? Notice what you're feeling right now. Notice what emotions are coming up for you. Give them space. Honor them. Notice what you're seeing around this person as you are allowing your emotions to come up. And so now I'm going to lead you through the releasing portion of this exercise. And you can either say this out loud, repeat after me out loud, or say it to yourself. State the person's name and say, I now forgive you for, and state the offense. I also forgive you for, and continue to empty out how they hurt you, how they may have angered you. How they may have betrayed you. And now I want you to say, and even though your body may not feel it, just give yourself a chance and say, I release you and set you free. I let go and let God's good and happiness come into your life now. I release myself and set myself free. I let go and let God's good and happiness come into my life now. I now release us and set us free. I let go and let God's good and happiness come into our lives. Let's repeat that once again. I set you free. I release you and set you free. I let go and let God's good and happiness come into your life now. I release myself and set myself free. I let go and let God's good and happiness come into my life now. I now release us and set us free. I let go and let God's good and happiness come into our lives. Now seeing this person going in a pink balloon, surrounded by a pink balloon or pink light, See them and that pink light start to float into the sky, into the ethers, releasing them and those emotions for God to take care of. Visualize them moving further and further away until you can no longer see it. Taking one more deep breath. Notice how your energy feels now that you've let some of that go. Notice the difference. Notice how light you are. I hope that helped. I truly hope that helped. So listen, I would love to take you deeper into this topic of returning to you and do some impactful, life-changing, transformative work as a small group. However, I am just not compelled to do things that people don't need from me or that I'm not excited about. So, what I am doing is I am starting a wait list for anyone interested in going deeper into how they can return back to themselves and start to live authentically. Um, I'm going to, and I want to help people kind of align more with what their soul desires and start to embody that and start to see more of that manifest into their life. And so, if that's you, then I invite you to visit my website at www.rozkincaid.com/services. Once you're on that page, you should see a light box appear after a few seconds with my face. And to the right of that image, you'll see a black button for you to join the wait list. Listen, if the group thing ain't your thing, I get it. It's not for everybody. I do offer one-on-one private coaching. And if you're just not sure whether or not you need coaching and just want to have a conversation to explore that, and kind of have a conversation, then I do offer a one-time intuitive breakthrough session where we get to know each other. We talk about your challenges and how I could support you. And included in that session is a mini psychic medium reading. If you want to hear from your guides or want messages from your spirit team, try to combine all of that into one to give you a fuller, deeper experience to help you make an informed decision about how you want to pursue your healing and your growth. So, again, all of that information can be found at my website at www.rozkincaid.com/services. And I hope that I have the honor and opportunity to work with some of you very soon. So, I want to thank you all for being so gracious, for joining me tonight. I pray that something that I said sparked and inspired action, or was able to break up something so that you can move forward, um, and towards the life that you deserve to experience. So, again, I appreciate your time and your energy, and I thank Alice, even though she's off. um, I thank her and the Rays of Healing Church for this opportunity to once again share some wisdom and insight with everyone to help you along your transformation process. So, with that being said, I think I'm supposed to turn this back over to Teresa to lead us
Yeah,
into prayer.
thank you, Roz, very much. That was wonderful. I particularly liked your releasing exercise. I thought that was for the short time we spent on it, it was very powerful, and it's the kind
Thank
of
you.
thing that I think kind of gets people's juices going in terms of what's really going on and how am I living my life, and that's obviously one of the
Mhm.
questions that people are going to want to go to you for some advice. I was wondering if you could repeat the information on the individual that you had referenced. You said she was very inspiring or something to you, and you thought that we should check on her. I didn't get her name. Do you recall who I'm talking about? It was in your discussion towards the beginning.
I don't recall. Oh my goodness.
Anyway, if it comes to
I'm
you,
drawing a blank.
you can let us know.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank.
No. And then I also enjoyed very much your discussion of the ego, because the ego is often much maligned. And I think that you did a great job of putting it into some perspective, which was very helpful. Now, I'll open it up. Does anybody have anything that they would like to ask Roz at this time, or any comments that they'd like to give her? Well, thank you all, and thank you, Roz. We'll close with a short prayer. In this prayer, we always, for Rays of Healing, give everybody the opportunity to place somebody that they would like to have healed, or to gain energy from the group, because whenever you do group energy, it's much more powerful than doing it individually. So I will say the prayer, and then just in your mind, add the individuals that you would like all of us to pray for. I'd like to start off with adding Bob, who is Alice's spouse, who had an operation the other day, which is why she had some issues today, and hopefully he is on the mend after a fairly serious operation that was not life-threatening, but still not fun to have to go through. So if you'll just close your eyes, we'll have a short prayer, and we'd like to invite our guides, invite the masters, invite the energies that each one of us represent as individuals in human form. Mother, Father, God, infuse us all with the light that surrounds us. Help us to become aligned, balanced, centered. For when all those things occur and we ask for help, the guidance that we get is clear. All the static is removed. The releasing exercise that Roz did earlier was very helpful in this regard. I can feel the energy of the whole group rising. As she said, you can do this as a group, you can do this individually. It all moves into the same direction, which is returning to source with a clear heart and a clear mind. So now add all the individuals that you would like to have healed into our circle right now. Divine Mother, Father, God, place your healing, place your love, place the joy and peace upon all those who we place into the circle. May they get the energies that are required right now for their next step. May they gain the knowledge of everything that they need to know to take that next step. If you have not added yourself to the circle, I'll add all of us into the circle also. Divine Infinite Spirit, thank you for having all of us join today and melding our energy. Thank you for having Roz here as our speaker. We'll let the energies go for just a second because I feel like they're really pretty nice right now. So take this energy with you as you go into sleep tonight, and think about some of the words that you heard, ponder on them, and see what your next steps will be tomorrow as you awaken. Thank you all. It was lovely. Thank you, Roz. We'll have you back.
Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good evening.
Good night, all.